Okay. All right. Sorry we're a little late. Welcome to the second annual football free-for-all. For those who don't know, we pick games every week. We go over them. Me and Ryan have a competition. We see who wins at the end for nothing more than bragging rights. But let's see. We are in, what did I just say,
Week 8 of college.
Week 8 of college, Week 7 of NFL. Ian, you won last week. Ren will join us next week. So if you want to lead us off with your 5 games, go ahead.
Dude, this first one, I'm still torn. This is going to be a tough one, dude. And I think it's probably the biggest game on the schedule. Ohio State -4.5 versus Penn State.
Yeah, for sure the biggest game. There's not a lot of, it's kind of a down week on big games this week.
Yeah, I mean, this game, though, usually it's been Penn State's the only one has been like kind of in striking distance the last few years of just kind of the dominance of Michigan and Ohio State in the Big Ten. I mean, I understand it's by far the best opponent that Penn State has played, but the defenses on these two teams are just nuts.
Penn State, yeah, shoot. That's pretty impressive.
Dude, the second best scoring defense, first in yards allowed, second in stop rate, like when opponent gets into the red zone, 85% of the that can't be right. 85%? Oh, no. Stop rate is 85% of opponents' drives end with 0 points. Pretty nuts.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Ohio State's defense, third in scoring, seventh in yards allowed. I was kind of leaning Ohio State because their playmakers are more upperclassmen. I feel like Penn State is kind of I feel like if they get to the playoff this year, they're 1 year ahead of schedule. But I just can't. After Penn State just dominated an Iowa team that I believe is still ranked. I don't know. So what I'm leaning towards here, I think I'm going to go with the under 45.5.
Yeah, I was looking at the over-under too. I don't so much love the spread on this one. You know, my Vegas gut instinct says to take the 4.5 with Penn State. They do have a good defense. I think maybe their defense is even a little better than Ohio State's. Ohio State probably has a little bit more of the explosive offense, big plays kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to take the 4.5. I think I put a point on that just for fun, but honestly, I'd probably take the under 45.5. I think I do like that more than the actual spread and picking a side. But yeah, I was looking at the defense here. Penn State allows under 200 yards a game. Ohio State's allowed about 260. And the only reason why I think that is important is they had one good defensive game against Maryland where they held them to 17. That Notre Dame 17-14 game, that's looking a little more impressive as the time goes on. But I'm not sold on Ohio State's defense per se, but I mean, they have more talent. They have the better team. Just something about that 4.5. It seems like it should be 6.5 or something. And so that, I don't know. I guess Vegas is thinking this is going to be closer than I think. I thought it'd be about a touchdown, but yeah, I'd probably go under 45.5. I'd take the points if you made me pick. I'd take Penn State plus 4.5.
Yeah, I really can't argue either way. That Ohio State, they've shown more with the Notre Dame win. It's by far the best win on either of these schedules.
Yeah, for sure. Penn State's schedule is pretty weak. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, it's just they're like dominant on that schedule. Didn't change when they played Iowa because I was kind of leaning that way. You know, the schedule was weak. You know, Ohio State's proven it. But I think if I had to play one, I'm going under.
Yeah, I like that one too. All right, what's next?
All right. We got Alabama -9.5 versus Tennessee. Over-under here is 46.5. Tennessee, not your Tennessee of last year. Last year they were throwing it all around, airing it out. This year they're relying on that rushing attack. Over 800 yards rushing in their last 3 games. Pretty impressive. I think they're 6th in rushing this year. Milroe's Bama is kind of playing. They got to play perfect ball, right? Play good defense, not have turnovers. Just hope Milroe doesn't kill him. Milroe's been hitting the deep ball, so he is a threat there, and he's obviously a threat to run. In those kind of games where you got to kind of lean on, which team is going to not make mistakes, you kind of lean towards the Saban team each time. Bama found this stat. They're 129th in sacks allowed, and Tennessee is 4th in the nation in sacks per game. And tackles, also 4th in tackles for loss per game. So I was kind of leaning Bama, read that stat. I don't know. That's a lot of points to give up to what I think is actually, a good Tennessee team. So again, here I'm going to play the under. Alabama's always got the defense. Those stats I read about Tennessee with those sacks and tackles for loss. So I'm going to take the under 46.5.
Yeah, Tennessee got us last week. Their front seven absolutely fucking killed us. Our offensive line definitely lost us that game last week against Tennessee. Or that was the weak spot. Johnson was under duress all day, so that front seven, especially the front four, seemed like they were otherworldly last week. I felt like they won the game for Tennessee essentially. That being said, like 9.5's a lot of points. If Tennessee's defense can show up like last week, which I think is more than possible, 9.5's just too much for me. I'm gonna take the 9.5. I think Tennessee, as much as Alabama wants to get revenge, right? I mean, Tennessee's going to get up for this game too. I don't see too much of a difference. I do think Milroe's the better quarterback, but I think they kind of are limited in the same way. They kind of do the same things. And, I don't expect Tennessee to win per se, but, in Tuscaloosa. But that defense, the front seven of Tennessee, if they can just make some plays, I mean, there's no reason why Tennessee can't be in this game. So I definitely like the 9.5, plus 9.5 for Tennessee. I also see the over/under here on ESPN's 48 right now, so that's gone up a little bit.
I'll take that.
Yeah, so I'd take 9.5. I think that's just too many points for this style of game, right? Like, Bama's not like a high-flying, explosive team, I just think 9.5 is too much. I think it should be like 6.5, 7, 7.5, something like that.
Yeah, I would tend to kind of agree with that. These aren't it's not the Crimson Tide with Tua and Hurts and Mac Jones.
Yeah, or even the Tennessee of last year, right? Like, it's totally crazy how these two teams have flipped. All
right. Little ACC action. Florida State minus 14.5 versus Duke. And man, Duke was, obviously this line, if everybody was healthy, would kind of seem insane. I would have taken Duke plus 14.5. Duke's leading the ACC in defense. They're only allowing 10.4 points a game, 4th in the country. Duke's loss, its only loss is a 21-14 home loss to Notre Dame. Here's a stat I found. Their defense is 2nd in the country in red zone success. Only 46% of the time do their opponents score when getting into the red zone. That's like their defense is doing some good things over there. And we know about Florida State. They got a super impressive offense with Travis run the offense there. They're the 4th ranked offense. The big thing though is Riley Leonard not playing for Duke, or even if he is, he's going to be severely limited. Duke's passing offense is not that they rely more on the run game. So even when Leonard's in there, their passing game hasn't been, world beaters, but he is a difference maker. And without him in the game, I just think I'm taking Florida State minus 14.5. Not going to be a super confident play, but I think that's where I'm going to lean. They just look more complete, and they have their playmakers.
Yeah, looking at Riley Leonard's yards, and he's only got 3 TDs, 1 interception, 900 yards. I don't feel like that's as big of a factor. I'm sure they're used to it by now. Again, they do other things. Duke 2 weeks ago lost to Notre Dame by 7, and I think if Notre Dame and Florida State played, Notre Dame would probably be favored by a field goal or something like that. But I think Notre Dame would probably be favored It'd be real close, right? So
Yeah.
14.5, again, it's just a lot of points. The over-under's 49.5. So, again, that's a big spread for me. I think the reason why it's so much is there must be something. They think Florida State's going to be able to score fast and score often, and Duke's going to have to play a perfect game to keep it within the spread, control the ball on the ground, that kind of thing. But 14.5, it's too much. If I don't have a confident feeling, give me the points. I'll go ahead and take Duke plus 14.5 for one. I kind of like the over 49.5 too, but I'm just going to take the 14.5 points right now. I'm also going to take Duke for my super dog, and since I missed my third one last week, I got the -3 points. I figure a fresh start. I'm just going to swing for the fences again. I'll take the 14.5 point risk.
Ooh, there we go. Nice.
Yeah. I feel like Florida State's kind of fool's gold. I don't know why.
Dude,
they've been playing good, I don't know why, but I just feel like they're not a number 4 team,
Yeah, I think the bottom of the Big 12, I think it's clearly this year the worst conference. But the ACC just feels like its top teams are not I feel like OU and Texas beats all of them, and I would say the Big 12 is probably the weakest conference. That's why I'm comparing them right now. Just to go on to your fool's gold point here, I think that Florida State, while they haven't, they haven't messed up. They had a close one against Boston College, and credit to them, they've won all their games. But I do kind of get that. I get that feeling too. There just hasn't been just a huge whoa, they did that win kind of yet, right? I mean, if they go on to spank Miami and Florida and
North Carolina too. I still think North Carolina is going to win the ACC. I think I might have picked Florida State just out of pressure, but North Carolina's been looking pretty good this year.
Yeah, I think it's definitely they'll be those two. I don't know how the whole thing works with Notre Dame, how they get into the championship game, because they don't. I guess maybe they do play the same amount of ACC opponents.
Maybe something like that, yeah.
But North Carolina and Florida State haven't lost yet, so I would say for sure out of those three, I think North Carolina is my favorite to be in there, and then.
Yeah, so the ACC rankings right now are Florida State, North Carolina, Duke, Louisville, Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech, Clemson, NC State, Boston College, Pittsburgh. Miami's actually 0-2 in conference play. So
brings us to our next game, Clemson -3 at
Good
Miami.
segue.
If you had given me this game a couple weeks ago and you said Clemson's a 3-point favorite, I'd be like, I'm taking Miami all day. But since then, they lost to Georgia Tech. They lost to North Carolina by, I think, 10, but I think it wasn't even that close if you're actually watching the game. I was not high on Clemson, though, early on in the year. It seems like they're relying a lot on Shipley, and he doesn't really, he doesn't seem like that big of a playmaker to me. He doesn't seem like the guy who's going to carry a team. Klubnik hasn't turned out to be, the next Trevor Lawrence. Their defense is strong, though, Clemson. Only allowing 19 points a game. That's pretty good. They're 5th in yards per game, and their defense is only giving up. They're 8th in rushing yards. So the reason I'm going to go Clemson here -3 is because while I believe Tyler Van Dyke is better than Cade Klubnik, at least at this point in time, Van Dyke was spotted. He had a bandage on, and that might not seem like a lot, but the fact that immediately after that, Vegas, the line moved a whole point. So they must think there's something going on there. So if he's kind of hurt, I feel like that's their Van Dyke moves that offense. Obviously, he's the quarterback, but without him, all things considered, Clemson's going to be more talented, and they have a great rush defense. So if Miami's relying on the rushing attack, I would take Clemson here, -3.
Yeah, Clemson -3, over under 48.5. Bro, I hate this game. I cannot think of a game I would rather not bet on this week. It's like Clemson's shaky. Miami's looked shaky the last 2 weeks. Clemson only beat Wake 17-12, right? It's just really hard, and I don't follow the ACC right as close as like a lot of other people, but I honestly like I have no idea on this game. I probably will just go Clemson -3 for the coaching, and they probably have better talent across the board, although it hasn't materialized. The 7-point overtime loss to Florida State doesn't feel so bad now, right? If it seems almost a little reasonable, right? Maybe just a tough loss, but Miami, yeah, that Georgia Tech loss, I mean, you got to say they in your head that they probably shouldn't have lost that, right? That's probably another win. What would you think if they won that? Let's say they barely win, but they still lose by 10 to UNC. Yeah, I don't know, dude. I honestly don't know. I probably take Clemson -3 just being the 3-point favorite. I'll take them, but I really have no idea on this game. I want to watch it. Like, it's an interesting game to see what happens, because these two teams could go either way with a win and a loss. But in terms of betting, I want to stay away from it. But I would take the Clemson -3 if you made me. But interested to watch it. I have no interest in betting on it.
Yeah. All right, next game. Utah +7 versus USC. I got to say, outside of maybe the Longhorns, the Aggies, Alabama, and Georgia, I think that for the last 2 years, we have talked about probably Utah more than any other college football team. They've just been so solid, and I think I'm just giving up on Cam Rising playing this year.
Yeah.
I think the lines they've adjusted to he's probably not playing. Utah has won the last 3. Obviously, I think since one was a championship, I think Cam Rising was there for all 3 of those last games.
Was it 2 or 3 years ago you guys crushed them in a bowl game, or was it the other way around?
Utah?
Yeah. Didn't y'all play them in Alamo Bowl?
They played Ohio State in that freaking awesome bowl game.
No, I could have swore y'all played them like maybe 3-4 years ago. Maybe it's a little further back than I remember. I could have swore it was like the Alamo Bowl or something like that.
Oh, in 2019, it looks like the Longhorns beat them 38-10.
That's what I'm thinking of, yeah. It seems like from that point, though, Utah had a good year that year, and from that point, they've been pretty relevant.
Dude, absolutely. They've been – their defense – so Cam Rising, we know, hadn't played all year, right? They beat Florida, who in and out of the rankings, still a talented team. A little down year for Baylor, but still beat them. These are all without their starting quarterback. They beat number 25 UCLA, and they lost a pretty hard-fought match to Oregon State, who, where do they rank about 12th now or something?
Yeah, they're pretty high up there.
They've allowed 21 points or less in all of their games. They're 5th in the nation, only allowing 12, and their rush defense is 2nd. So
Cal's not really a scrub either, are they? Seems like Cal's pretty improved. Cal. Yeah, they had a pretty good win against Cal.
And then you got USC over here. So, like, Utah's doing everything right? They don't have their quarterback. They got one loss. They're battling all these games. They're sound. They're fundamentally sound. Then you got USC, only covered the spread once in a conference game. Oh, man, I don't have – oh, yeah, they barely beat Arizona 43-41. They barely beat Colorado, which is now that 48-41, which isn't looking so good at this point. And then they just got smacked by Notre Dame 48-20. And, we know that, USC, I think they got the second highest powered offense right now. But, I mean, you give me a touchdown. Utah knows this might be their last shot against them. I'm taking Utah +7, and then I'm also taking them as my super dog +7.
I like the super dog pick. I think I might like USC -7. Something about that touchdown favorite makes me think it's going to be a big bounce back game for them coming back home. Utah has struggled to score at times. They beat UCLA. They only scored 14 points. Lost to Oregon State. Only scored 7 points. When even in their loss or even close games, USC is going to put up points. I just have a feeling they cover that 7 coming back at home. I'd probably take USC -7. I like the Utah as the underdog bet though, because it's definitely like two good teams. They easily could. They have more than a puncher's chance to win this, right? fairly evenly matched, all things considered. You would say 14 and 18. You know, if it wasn't at USC, it'd be like what, a 4-point game, so like about a field goal, maybe neutral field or something. So I mean, they're relatively easily matched. I like the super dog pick, but I'll take USC -7 at home. I also, that over under 53 I looked at a lot, and I thought about taking the under just because Utah has not scored at times, but then again, USC's defense is not that good either, and they've been letting up a lot of points. So my instinct was to go under because Utah could put up a stinker with only like 7 or 14 points, but they could also score 35 on USC. So
yeah, I think I'm trusting more of Utah's defense to hold the game close. So let's say it did get into the 30s. I'm just assuming that USC's lack of defense, meaning even if Utah relied on, they got a good run game with Jaquindon Jackson, I believe. I think they can move the ball. I think this is all more reflective on USC's lack of defense and Utah's defense is what's driving me here towards my decision. So I guess I'm kind of agreeing that it might go over, but I don't think it's going to be a blowout by USC. I think that Utah can hang in there and keep the game close.
yeah, so Vegas essentially saying this game's going to be 30-23 is what they're saying.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. It's another tough one. I really want to watch, but it's a tough spread to gauge. I probably still stick with USC -7, but yeah, I mean, you're making some good points as well. I don't know enough about it, but yeah, I'd probably take USC -7. I'll stick with that.
Hey, maybe we get some late news on Cam Rising comes in, and then the line just looks genius.
Maybe,
but who knows? That's it for college.
Hold on, I have to issue a traction from last week. So for Washington, his name is Michael Penix. I got corrected on that by a random person last week. So I still stand by the fact, though. I still stay Penix, I think.
Penix?
Yeah.
Oh, Penix. Oh, come on.
Yeah, and I mean, who follows Washington? They're number 5, and still nobody cares. But I stand by the fact that Bo Nix, I still think, is a better passer thrower than Penix, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I have a few other picks unless you have some you were gonna go over.
Talking about college or
college?
NFL?
Yeah.
No, these are the only ones I looked at on college. Maybe my super dog. What else you got?
So I got some other bets I really love. I have a 14 parlay that I bet on that I'm liking. I took Duke plus 14.5. We talked about that one. I took Michigan -24 versus Michigan State. Michigan State's just an absolute dumpster fire right now, and Michigan's been putting up some points and covering some big spreads. Yeah, I feel like 24 was kind of low. So then I took Ole Miss -6.5 versus Auburn. Auburn, I think, is hot garbage too. I think they had that one good, decent game against Georgia where they kept it close, and I think that was more Georgia not being able to score. Yeah. I think Auburn is toast. I think they get. I might put a decent sized bet on that game alone. That's probably my lock of the week right there. And then I went Oklahoma -19 versus Central Florida. I think some people think it's going to be a letdown game, maybe after the UT game or something, but. Same thing with Michigan. Oklahoma's been covering those bigger spreads against smaller schools, and I think they do it again. So those are some other games that I really liked.
Another one I kind of looked at, Missouri -7.5.
Yep, I looked at that one too a little bit.
South Carolina. Missouri's been, outside of LSU where they lost a shootout, and a lot of teams, as we've seen with Ole Miss got them, huh?
And in that LSU game, if I remember right, Missouri was like up pretty big at one point, like 21-0 or 21-7. If I remember right, I could be misremembering.
You know, a lot of I mean, trying to keep up in a shootout with them is not that easy. But other than that, they've been handling business. Beat at the time number 24 ranked Kentucky, or maybe that's their current ranking, by 2 touchdowns. 17 points. South Carolina just seemed like they had all this kind of a potential to be kind of a sleeper. It just has not panned out. Only
Yeah,
2 wins,
agreed.
so
Same with
I
Auburn.
would
I think
say,
people were expecting Auburn to take a big step up this year. So far, it hasn't really happened.
yeah, just the way things have been trending, I would kind of lean Mizzou minus 7.5 here.
Yeah, I like this one too, so I'd probably go with that one as well.
It looks like they're also at home. So
Yeah.
yeah, and then you got Beamer breaking. What did he do? He broke his foot in like some kind of tirade on the sideline or something like that.
I don't know.
For South Carolina.
Sounds
Yeah,
about
I
right.
didn't click the article, but I keep seeing all these articles about it.
Gotcha. You got any feel on the Texas Houston game?
What's the spread?
23.5.
Yeah, that's about probably. Yeah, I think it's going to be kind of a blowout here.
61
U of
over
H
under. Yeah.
U of H had kind of the Dana Holgerson Super Bowl last week, where they beat his old school West Virginia on a Hail Mary.
Oh
Needing a
yeah.
Hail Mary to beat West Virginia is just not a good look.
Yeah,
UH has not.
Tech's been struggling and Tech crushed them.
Yeah, and I think U of H barely beat like
Rice. Rice double overtime. They
Rice
lost.
beat
They
them,
lost
right?
to Rice
Yeah,
double
yeah.
overtime. And
Yeah,
lost to
there we go.
TCU
That's
36-13. They beat Sam Houston State 38-7. Lost to Tech by 3 touchdowns.
Barely
And-
beat UTSA by 3 at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, barely beat West Virginia. Dang, you could with that lucky win against West Virginia, they could be 1-4 right now, or worse.
Yeah, I just think. I mean, those huge spreads. I don't like betting on. That's like what, over 3 touchdowns.
Oh,
So
they barely beat UTSA. That's what
they're-
you're
yeah,
thinking of.
so-
So they're
Right,
3-3 right now, and it feels like they should be 1-5 or something.
Right. I mean, and it's kind of a bummer because U of H has been pretty decent like the past few years. They've always had quarterbacks who can make plays. This guy, the transfer from Tech, was never really a big believer in him. I think is it Donovan Smith?
D.
I'm
Smith,
not sure,
yeah.
but
Donovan Smith, yep.
I mean, Texas is obviously all around better. It's just hard to. I mean, if it
Short road
if it's
game
a
too. What a great road game in Houston for Texas.
Yeah, I mean, even if you beat them, 30 to, if you beat them 30-3, you barely covered. It's just such a big spread.
Yeah.
I guess I would have to lean Texas is probably better in every single aspect. So I would lean probably a small play Texas minus 23, maybe just one, the lowest confidence rating.
Yeah, I mean, I stayed away from it. That spread, I think, is pretty spot on. Literally, if it was just a couple points either way, I'd probably take the other team. But the over-under 61, I'm thinking under on that. I'm thinking Texas shuts them down. I don't think they score a whole lot. Texas isn't going to score 55 on their own. Maybe they will. I don't know. But yeah, I like the under 61 in that game.
A few years ago, before Holgerson went to U of H when he was at West Virginia, I think it was his last year in the Big 12. He scored a touchdown to tie the game, which what looked like was going to overtime, but Jumbo nutted and went for 2 and took down the Longhorns. Instead of going to overtime, he went for 2, ran it in. It was Clint Trickett, I believe, the QB.
Nothing to lose.
Ran it in. Yeah, it was. I was obviously super mad at the time, but got to respect it. Going for it, going for
sure.
the 2-point, leaving it all out there.
Yeah. Do you have any NFL?
The one I'm liking the most is Vikings +7 versus 49ers, just because I think this is more reflective on the current year of the Vikings. But they're still a solid, what should be a solid team, right? I mean, is there something about Jefferson maybe I'm missing? Is he not playing or?
I think Jefferson has been dinged up a little bit. I actually took San Fran -7 in this game. Again, Minnesota's been struggling this year. They're 0-3 at home, And I just, yeah, I don't know what it is. I mean, yeah, Jefferson's been out. That's definitely going to hurt you a lot, right? But no real big run game to speak of either. So I went ahead and took a little bit of a revenge spot here for the 49ers too after last week. So I took -7 for the 49ers.
Some other ones I got on here are Raiders -2.5 at the Bears. I think it's going to be the battle of the backup QBs.
Yeah. I've been betting against the Bears pretty regularly this year.
Bills -8.5 at the Pats. Always seeing at Patriots makes me kind of worried, but I just think the gap is too big at this point. So I'm going to take the Bills. And Browns -3 at the Colts.
Yep, I took that one too.
Yeah, I've been liking the Browns with their defense. No Richardson. What do the Colts have going for them at this point?
Yeah, I really like the Chiefs -5-2 against the Chargers. At Kansas City, I don't know why that spread. Maybe just because they've been so tough in the past with those games. They always come in real close. And then, let's see. Yeah, I took the Browns also. I like the Raiders -3 against the Bears. You mentioned that one. I also like the Commanders -3 against the Giants. The Giants are a dumpster fire. Like I've noticed as this goes along more, like betting, sometimes you bet against teams rather than the team you're betting on in a way. I feel myself doing that more and more. And I took the Dolphins to win straight up, a little bit of extra juice against the Eagles. The Eagles, again, a little bit of fool's gold so far. They've been like barely getting out with some wins. I think it finally catches up to them, and Miami just beats the brakes off of them, puts up like 35-42 or something, I'm hoping. But I think that's what's going to happen in that game. And I think Miami got their butt kicking earlier against Buffalo. I think Philly's about to get their wake-up call for the year. And Philly, they've had an easy schedule. This is by far like one of the easiest schedules I've heard so far, and they're about to get into the meat of it, starting with the Dolphins. And they've got a hell of an end of the year starting now. Until the end of the year, they have a really tough schedule. So I thought it should have been a coin flip or Miami favored. Miami's the underdog, I think, just because Philly's been winning. But I think that comes to an end this weekend. So that's another one I like.
Definitely a show me game for the Dolphins.
For sure, yeah.
They had that game against the Bills, and you're either going to see if, maybe they're that kind of team that just crushes bad teams and then doesn't show up against big teams, or you're going to see, they're right up there with the big dogs, right? They got stomped by the Bills, but if they come in and take down the Eagles, then you got to kind of respect, like, hey, this team is legit. Obviously, we know the Eagles have been there, done that, made it to the Super Bowl. So
yeah, and the Eagles. I forgot the Eagles. The Eagles lost to the Jets last week, but they had close games essentially, kind of all throughout that the previous games. So other than that, Dolphins have been killing it. Besides that Buffalo game.
Hurts 3 interceptions. I mean, is that gonna you don't really think that's gonna keep happening to Hurts? He usually very good at protecting the ball, so 3 interceptions. Wow.
Well, I just think the team as a whole is kind of struggling. I think he's still been playing okay, but they just don't seem to be the same as last year, just all around.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like as much explosive plays. Last year they were AJ Brown, it seemed like just every week was making big plays.
Yeah. Any ALCS comments?
Your Quiddy throws strikes, but man, it worries me. Like when you have a pitcher who he's not a strikeout guy, right? So you're hoping he's throwing strikes, trusting his defense, but I just hate that kind of not having that kind of thing in your back pocket, to get the strikeout. Kind of worries me. But the Roadstros, dude.
Yeah.
Roadstros are way different this year. It's kind of crazy that
no teams
won the World Series. Yeah, no teams won the World Series with a losing home record. And Astros, man, I mean, you got to believe in, at this point as an Astros fan, you have to believe in the Roadstros being real, because if you don't, then you got nothing else. So yeah. I'm gonna die on that hill. I think I'm thinking Astros take all 3 at Globe Life, and then we got to figure it out at Minute Maid.
Damn, all 3. Yeah, I don't know, man. Scherzer, I was really hoping.
We have to at this point.
Yeah, right. I was really hoping Scherzer would give us like 4 good innings. I literally was just like, give us 4 good innings, right? And I'll be happy. And he just got rocked. I thought his stuff looked okay. It just didn't have like the velocity on it. He wasn't hitting like 95 plus on some stuff. But I thought his location, and he had some decent movement on it. I thought he looked about what I actually thought he would look like, but I guess just that little bit off. He's probably throwing it like 90, 95%. And if that's all the difference for pros to tee off on. So I thought he looked okay, though. It just sucks that he got hit so bad coming back.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at the games here when the Astros played, because the Astros definitely saw him, in that 2019 World Series with the Nationals.
Oh, yeah. Didn't even think about that.
So it looks like game 1, he pitched Nationals won 5-4. Trying to see how many of those runs came off of him. We had 2 in the first, so I'm guessing those are off of him. But that was it. We got 2 more in the bullpen. So actually he did pretty well in that game. And then, let's see, game 6, which the Nationals also won. All right, so I think he went 5-0 that postseason. God damn. That's pretty good. But I don't know, man. I mean, it's just so baffling. Like, the score would have been even bigger if not for the incredible play in center field. You see, I think it was Tavares.
Tavares, yeah. Well, that only would have been a solo, though, right? I think.
No, I think he might have had
Maybe I'm
runners
wrong.
on, but even then, like, sometimes there's robberies that are kind of close to, like, where you got to jump up, but maybe it would have hit the top of the wall.
Yeah.
Or this was an absolute robbery. Like, just the hell. I was so mad. Like, the plays in baseball that make me the most mad are when someone robs your team of a homer. It feels like your guy did everything to earn it, and then they just took it away, and you're already kind of celebrating. You're watching the ball go, and man, and then also to add on to just Jordan, that would have made him 7 home runs in 7 games in the postseason. Just added on to like this incredible like streak he's on, and then Tavares just stole the home. I was so mad.
Yeah, I thought whenever he made that catch, I was like, maybe we are here for destiny. Like, we're going to come back and win, because it was 3-5 after that. But then, like, you guys kept pouring it on. Even though we had a couple shots, it just was too little too late.
Young doing everything he can, dude. That dude hits a homer, 2-run homer, Astros get it back. Next time he comes up, hits another homer, and, like, everything the Astros did, Young was negating it to keep it close into the late innings. Making it a little scary, but Astros had a lot of hard hit. I think Altuve started out hitting 3 balls that was like, one was warning track, homer, warning track. So the balls were getting hit harder, which was giving me more faith as an Astros fan that, all right, maybe these Roadstros know what they're doing. It's kind of weird, right? Like, there shouldn't be a team that's been in the playoffs this much shouldn't not be able to play at home. Maybe it's just some weird thing that just seems to be happening, or maybe kind of built up and now they're feeling like a little less stress, right? So I don't know, but I'm just going to roll with it and hope if the Roadstros get a win with Urquidy, that's a good feeling, because
who's up next for y'all after tonight?
I would assume that we're just going right back to Verlander.
Would it be Verlander? He's already back up. I guess 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I guess so, huh? Okay. Yeah, and I'm hoping. I guess one of my hopes is that Scherzer, if Scherzer can somehow maybe even do some relief work or something like that, right? Or he can maybe come back for a Game 7. You never know. I just hope that if he does, he, obviously, whatever he was feeling last night, hopefully he feels a little bit better than that. I mean, I wouldn't mind rolling with Scherzer in a Game 7, but obviously after last night, I'm a little less confident.
Yeah, and hold on, I'm counting the days here. So it'd be 4 days rest. So yeah, I think you want to go 5 days rest, but 4 days rest. It'll probably depend on where the series is. Maybe if the games are locked up, the Astros would throw out maybe France or Hunter Brown, but I don't know. I'd feel more comfortable trying to get Verlander and Framber out there at least 2 times in this series. You want to see that.
Game 7 would come on a 5th day of rest. Because there's 2 days in between Game 5 and 6.
Yeah, hold on. So Game 4, 5, and then. Well, I'm just talking about Game 5 right now.
Oh, okay.
I would think we'd want to go Verlander just because. Well, let's see. So if the Astros won today.
You know what? I honestly,
2-2.
yeah, I'll say if you guys win today, I think I would actually save Verlander for Game 6. If the whole home road split is real, if I'm a manager, right, and I'm trying to like just be in the mindset of like we need to switch it up or something's got to change or whatever. If you guys win tonight, I would say Verlander for Game 6. If he really feels that way, like if the manager's like, man, we struggle at home and we've been winning on the road, especially at Globe Life Park, you guys have been crushing it. I would save him for Game 6. Why not? Like save your best for when you think you're going to struggle the most.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, and then also, yeah, Verlander's obviously older. You give him the full time to rest.
Yeah.
Because then, yeah, if you win, Astros win today, there's a guaranteed Game 6 already. So maybe you just save Verlander then. Yeah, you might be right.
Baseball, the book wouldn't say do that, right? You just roll your best guys out when you can. But if that home road split's like really the monkey on your back, I mean, fuck it. Switch it up.
Yeah, it should definitely be a lot of runs, though, today. That's how I would assume this goes because, the Rangers just score all the time anyways. And
yeah, the over-under is 9.5. Huh?
Oof. I said your Quiddy throws strikes, but the Rangers hit strikes. So
yeah, it's a good point.
9.5. I would have liked to know what was yesterday's over-under.
So I think the first game was like 8.5. America's I bet a little bit on it and it didn't hit it. And then, so like it must be going up a little bit because now it's 9.5. I guess the pitchers matter too, right? So,
yeah. One thing Scherzer did though, that was it Joyce, maybe at home plate? He was that inside as soon as Scherzer saw that he was giving him that inside off the strike zone a little bit. He kept going back there, and a lot of stuff's been made like, on Twitter, like, oh, all of his missed calls were against the Astros, but that's because Scherzer chose to keep doing that. Javier, he goes for the high strikes. He's not really throwing inside. Scherzer's like, I'm going to keep on making this living here. He kept on doing it like intentionally, so more power to him.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what you got to do. Like that's on the catcher and the pitcher to see that guy was giving it to him. So, yeah, I think it was just Scherzer. Like the first start back is what it was. Like he looked like his velocity wasn't down, or if it wasn't super noticeable. It's just trying to come back first start against the Astros and ALCS is gonna be tough no matter what.
Yeah.
So,
I guess it was frustrating because watching his stuff, it looked good, right? Like he seemed like he was locating pretty decently. His balls had good movement on it, so that's what I was just wondering if, like, even he's 5% down, and you're trying to get that third strike or what have you. I mean, that could be all the difference between Yordan crushing you or him swinging and missing.
Yeah, Yordan's just incredible, like, streak right now. It's kind of like a bittersweet, like, yeah, sure, it's awesome to see, but he has literally carried every win kind of on his back. I mean, yesterday, yeah, he had an RBI. He's got some insane thing. Like when he hits an RBI, it's like 90% win right now.
Damn.
So you like to see it more spread out. Like last year, Altuve didn't do. He was very bad in the World Series. But yeah, Yordan had a homer against the Mariners, and then he kind of was a little quiet until like his big homer in the World Series. So you kind of like to see like winning kind of spread out. But he's so hot right now, you just can't you kind of want to see it keep going. Obviously you want to keep going. Yeah, but it's you don't want to ride one at bat, I guess is what I'm trying to say. One batter.
Yeah, it's
you want to kind of have a kind of team thing going here, but he's so just like historically hot right now that hopefully it continues. So
yeah, it's true. He's been crushing it.
Yeah, I don't remember the last time the Astros were kind of, backs against the wall like this outside of a World Series, except for I think it was the COVID year against the Rays and the ALCS. But
yeah, I will admit, like, if we lose tonight, man, I'm really tight.
the depth of the hitting of I mean, I knew they put up runs, but just seeing I think Jung is like seventh or eighth, I think, and he's just rocking bombs. And
Evan Carter doesn't even necessarily play all the time either. He's more of a mismatch.
It's young. I mean, yeah, they got the experience up top, but then the young guys at the bottom are just producing, and it's bodes well for their future for sure.
Yeah. Definitely, I'm excited. Game's on, about 30 minutes? Yeah.
Get to it.
All right. Anything else?
I think that's it.
Yeah, that was a good one. All right.